Hi, I'm Matt Collins. I'd like to welcome you to Bob Weber Auto Mart on Douglas Avenue here in Racine, across from Douglas Park. We specialize in 1-year-old, low mileage, almost new cars. And if you'd like to stop by and see them, or see them on our website, bobweberautomart.com, we could save you between $5,000 and $10,000 on your next almost new car purchase.
Welcome into another edition of Sports Junkies. I'm Sparky Fifer from the Wendy's Big Show, weekday afternoons from 2 to 6 on Sports Radio 1250 WSSP. He, of course, Gery Woelfel of the Racine Journal-Times and our WSSP Bucks Insider, as we like to call him over at SSP. Let's talk a little bit about the shooting guard positions. We get ready for the draft on June 26th. Don't forget, we'll have our draft show on WSSP from the time the draft starts. I think it's going to be around 6:30 or so. All the way till the time the draft ends. We go through both rounds, so keep it tuned in there to WSSP. All right, Nick Stauskas is the number one shooting guard on the board out of Michigan. Got some decent size. I've already seen reports that the Bulls really like Stauskas, feel he'd be a good complement to Derrick Rose, 6'6" shooter, and he is a shooter. That is what he is. He's a guy that can just line up outside, kind of like maybe like a Dunleavy a little bit of how he plays.
Yeah, he's probably going to be a lottery pick, which is surprising because, up until the tournament, a lot of people have him kind of like projected mid-first round, but his stock has definitely risen. And I think you can thank Klay Thompson for that. I think teams around the league are understanding like, hey, you don't have to be the most athletic guy, but if you can put the ball in the basket on a regular basis, a consistent basis, you're going to be a high pick. I mean, Thompson was what was he, 13, something like that?
Somewhere in that area.
Somewhere in that ballpark. I'm trying to remember exactly. Or 11. And I don't think Stauskas is as good as Klay Thompson, but the fact that he can shoot is really a plus for him.
And again, they've been looking for a shooting guard in Chicago to complement Derrick Rose for some time. So
yeah, I don't think absolutely he would make sense. I don't think he gets that far. I think he's going to go
before that.
Yeah, I mean Denver, Charlotte. There's a couple teams that are drafting ahead of them that need shooting guards.
Gary Harris, the shooting guard from Michigan State, second on the board. I guess I'm really not as sold on Gary Harris.
We're agreeing on guys, man. I'll tell you what, I agree with you.
I'm just not as sold, man. There's just nothing special about him. He's solid, but I just don't see special.
I see Gerald Henderson in him. I mean,
good comparison. I like that comparison.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's a nice player. Yeah. He's not going to wow you. And the other thing I don't like about is that he's undersized. He's like 6'3" for a shooting guard. And you can get away with it. A lot of teams are playing small ball and can use two guys like that. But I'm totally on board with you. I just don't see him. But yet, everybody I talk to insists he's going to be a top 14 pick.
When you talk about him, and then you talk about the kid that's slotted behind him in most mock drafts right now, the kid from UCLA, right. Zach LaVine, is that his name? Yeah, Levine. That guy right there, to me, from what I've seen watching him play at UCLA, and then watching the Combine, and watching him athletically, I think he's got a chance to be a bigger star than Gary Harris does.
I agree. I think this is a kid that bears watching. I mean, he's got an attitude, too. That's the one thing I noticed when I talked to him. He is very, very self-assured. I think he's only 18 or 19 again. Huge upside, can shoot the ball, good ball handler.
And 6'6".
And 6'6". As I said, somebody's going to get a good player. I mean, if you can afford to take roll the dice a little bit, it's kind of like the Bucks going after the Greek Freak. Middle first round, say, well, you know what, he could flame out, but he also could be a big time player.
No question. The guy that I really like a lot, and I think he's going to be a really good player at the next level, is James Young, 6'7" shooting guard from Kentucky. I love James Young.
Well, his name to fame right now is sitting next to Rihanna.
Sure.
At the Brooklyn Nets playoff game, and you know the rest of the story. I think he denies everything.
Right.
But this guy, again, we're talking about guys with upsides. This guy's got a huge upside. He's not a consistent knockdown shooter, but athletically, he's got it. I mean, he's got a long wingspan. Can put it on the floor, get to the basket, and again, because of his wingspan, I think he's going to be a big time defender. Yeah. There's a lot of things to like about James Young.
I'm a big fan of James Young. And then number 5, a guy that is going the D-League route. Obviously, he had his issues at North Carolina, ends up in the D-League with the Texas Legends, P.J. Harrison. A guy that played well in the D-League, I think, for the most part.
I think whoever drafts P.J. Harrison is going to get a flat-out steal. He had some issues at North Carolina, went to the D-League last year, and he lit up the D-League. I mean, he was a man among boys in the D-League. he's going to be the same type of player. It would not shock me if he came in from day one and was a starter in the NBA. The teams are very skeptical about his off the court issues. The Milwaukee Bucks would love to have him, but in light of all,
if he's sitting there at the top of the second round, they take him.
Oh, second round, to me it's a no-brainer, but he's not.
Because then it's not guaranteed money, so then it doesn't matter.
He's going to be a mid to late first round pick. He might go higher. Some team might roll the dice on him and say, "Hey, we don't care about his character flaws. We're going to take him." But the Bucks aren't in a position to do it. They just had too many off the court issues in the last, with Larry Sanders in particular, that my gut feeling is they'll stay away from him.
All right, of these 5 guys, who's got the most potential to be a star in 5 years?
I'm going to say Hairston. He's got the package. If you didn't know about all his off the court issues, he's a lottery pick. I mean, he can come in and play. He's very physical already. You don't have to wait 3-4 years for his body to develop. He can play immediately.
It'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. Now, I have Wiggins as a shooting guard, but we're going based on how the mock drafts have him. The mock drafts have him as a small forward, so you have to check out the small forward video to find out more about Andrew Wiggins.
The other thing real quickly on the shooting guards, there's going to be a bunch of guys in the second round that are shooting guards, like Joe Harris from Virginia. Very, very underrated. Again, a guy that can shoot like Stauskas, right? Devin Marble from Iowa. He's going to be a good pick, mid to late second round. There's 4 or 5 shooting guards in the second round that could, be decent players.
The one thing about this draft, in my opinion, is it is deep.
It is.
Outside of the center position, it is deep. I mean, shooting guard is deep, power forward is deep, small forward is deep.
Really deep.
I mean, you really have a lot of talent. That's why when you've got 3 second-round picks like the Milwaukee Bucks do, and then that one, providing they don't trade all those picks in the second to do something else, they could end up, at least with the first 2 second-round picks, they could end up with 2 players that could come in and contribute right away.
Oh, no question about it. They could get a shooting guard and small forward right off the bat.
He is Gery Woelfel of the Racine Journal-Times. I'm Steve Sparky Fifer. Thanks for tuning in to our preview of the NBA draft, talking about the shooting guard position. We'll catch you next time, and we'll talk about the small forwards.